Hello, this is Dave Lawrence in Alaska, and I wanted to show you a couple things about this function generator. First of all, I make sure not to use a cord that has a ×10 probe on it because that would attenuate the signal. I use these BNC connectors straight to alligator clips with no attenuator in them. I'm not sure on your scope if your leads look like you were using a BNC scope lead that might have a ×10 probe on it or something. I'm not sure. You want to check that. Here's my scalar coil. Basically, this one has the bismuth in it. But I'm going to show you some frequencies for aluminum. And there's my function generator down there. See if I can get this steady. Okay, it seems to work better with, there's my probe, goes right there. It seems to work a little better with this button in, which is 600 ohm impedance to the coil. I'm not sure why that's stronger that way. Of course, the power button's on. Now, the ones you want to pay attention to here are the waveform. And I started out with square wave in the beginning until that became just too intense for my head. And when you overload, you get dizziness because you're starting to see with your pineal area of your brain, and it can cause disorientation until you get used to it. So you can move over to the sine wave on the end here, and it'll be gentler. And you can bring the amplitude down until it's comfortable. Now on the duty cycle button right down here, you have to push this button here in to activate the duty cycle control. So this button has to go in, and then you've got your duty cycle adjustment, and you want to tweak that till you feel it in your head. And then this is a very important button over here, which is called the DC offset. You've got to pull that button out. It comes out a little bit. I don't know if you can see that well. This button here, duty cycle, comes out. That activates it, and now you want to tune it until it really becomes peaked. Because what you're doing here is you're bringing the bottom of the voltage back to 0. So like if this was on 10 volts output, you can go all the way over to a 10 volt plus or minus and make that white waveform right on the 0 line. So you want to play with that until you feel it in your mind. That's a very important one to play with. Now right now I'm set up on an aluminum frequency of 7.77 kilohertz. It's on the 1K right here, and over here, oh, I'm not on 7.7. What am I? Okay, well, we're going to set it to 7.7. There's 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then just a little more to another 0.7 of that. And you feel the aluminum shell vibrate up on the coil. This coil has, of course, the aluminum tube with the bismuth inside it. And I've dialed up an aluminum frequency. I can send you a file with a whole bunch of aluminum frequencies. And you can kind of get used to tuning in the different layers of aluminum since you don't have bismuth yet. I'll try to attach that file to this. So that's one frequency we play with. Let's see. 8.27 is another frequency aluminum has. 8.27, and yes, I feel it right there. And you notice my amplitude's not that high. And I can feel it there. You might have to crank it up a little more at first but not so high that you get dizzy. You want to bring it down till it's mild. And you can detect it with your mind. And if you're having trouble like on the crystal feeling it, just bring the frequencies down. Bring them down lower, and they'll be easier to feel. Now I just brought that that 8 frequency down, which was 8.27. I brought it down and it just really banged me in the head. It's a lot stronger. So I'm going to bring the amplitude down, and I can feel it gently right there. Not a very high voltage at all. So you can also hold the coil in your left hand if you want. Let me see if I can do that here. Trying to handle this camera. So you can hold the coil in your hand, and you can actually feel it over a period of time. The energy will go up your nerves and all the way up into your mind, and you can actually tune to vibrate up your own nervous system. You can feel it go up and down your spine, and there, it just hit my head right there. Another interesting frequency to play with is 333 kilohertz. Let's see, that's times 100 kilohertz. We'll come down here to 3, 1, 2, 3, 3, and you can feel it start to vibrate up the field of space around you. You should get a good kick out of that one. It bounces out into space and then comes back at you. It resonates. So that's an interesting one to tune in. And notice I've got the this DC offset out, and I should tweak that in a little. And then the duty cycle. Got the duty cycle button in. And there it peaks right there for me. So yeah, that's it. Just a few controls here you really need to play with after you get sensitive to this vibration, and then you want to go to the sine waves. They'll be much gentler to feel. Hope that was helpful.